Everyone has the nectar of instruction there, isn't it? So I don't need to share a screen. Is that right? Or do I need to? I forget.
No,
What...
we got.
Yeah, we got. Yes, makes it a little bit easier for me. Okay. Nama Om. Did I say it? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Putale Shrimati Bhakti Varanta Swanti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prashaline Navasisha Sunivadi Pashtatada Stadine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare. So you have to bear with me a bit. I just ate a big plate of Rajbog Mahaprashadam. And all my blood has gone to my stomach to help try and digest it, and I'm a little bit tired, but I'm sure this reading will pick up my spirits. Okay, so without further ado, we are on verse 6 or 7? 7.
Yes.
Thank you. We're just beginning, or we're midway? No, beginning, I think.
Beginning.
Yeah, beginning.
Oh,
So I have some hands are popping up for reading. Yeah, so now we're stepping ahead a bit in the nectar of instruction from Rupa Goswami. He's going to be speaking about what it means to actually be associating with Krishna in the form of his holy name and the effect that that has. So perhaps I'll just read the verse and then we can, I think, Samudhara Radhika has a hand up, so she can read first. Okay, let's begin. I'll try and pronounce. Shat Krishna Nama Charitadi Shithapaya Vidya Pito Patapta Rashanasya Naruchikano Hintu Adarat Anodinam Kalo Shevajusta Shradvi Kramad Bhavati Tat Gada Mola Hantri. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within the tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Wonderful verse. I know one god brother of mine has learnt this verse. He often likes to recite it. Nice verse to learn. Okay, so Samudara Radhika, you could take beginners in the purple here.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities. Oh, so you've read that. Lord Krishna's holy names, qualities, pastimes, and so forth are all of the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet, like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Nescience, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious secretions. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya, ignorance, similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendently palatable name, qualities, form, and pastimes of Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of the transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a diseased condition. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord. Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nityadas. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external features of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durashraya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts faith One who puts his faith in Durashraya becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although their material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their nescience, they cannot understand their mistakes. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of the struggle for existence in the material world. If one in this condition is advised to take to Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instructions.
If let's pause there because it's quite a short purport actually.
Okay.
And good to kind of break it down a little bit. Yeah, so anything that, and if any reflection, something that strikes you here? I was
Prabhu, sorry, which part do you read? Which text?
6.
Oh, thank you. Can I add something?
7, excuse me, 7.
7. I missed
7.
last week. My
Yeah.
goodness.
So you notice how in the verse and also in the purport, it's spoken of by carefully chanting these names every day. Yeah. And it mentions also in the purport that gradually, yeah, so it doesn't happen like relishing as is described in the verse, doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, we may get, by the mercy of the devotees and Krishna, we may have very inspirational experiences, yeah, which devotees do in the beginning, or not just in the beginning, but also as they go on. But generally, to actually come to the taste of, to the level of the taste that's been described here, is something we have to carefully work on and carefully cultivate, yeah, and carefully practice, yeah. And we do get good opportunity because every day we spend 2 hours, especially those who are initiated, we spend 2 hours chanting the holy name, yeah, trying to get the formula right so we can taste and experience Krishna, yeah. And often we get the formula wrong. So therefore, we may not always have the same experience. Yeah, you could say it's mystical in a sense that if our attitude is wrong, then the holy name will not want to reveal itself to us. Yeah, because it's a person. Actually, the holy name is considered to be more merciful than Krishna, although he's the same. But sometimes it's described like that. So, for instance, if we're proud, then we won't be able to taste the holy name and we won't be able to continue chanting. It will become very difficult. Yeah. So sometimes pride may creep up on us without our actually being aware of it. Yeah. We may slip into a certain mentality a little bit, and then we may continue, and before we know it, we've developed a pride. Yeah. So therefore, the holy name will retreat. Yeah. And wait for us to humble ourselves. Yeah, we cannot make demands. It very depends on the attitude. So that's why Chanada Pishana Chana Toroda Pishishna Manina Manina Kitana Sadahari. It's like a scientific experiment. If some part of it is not right, then you will not get the result. So there's many parts, there's many aspects of our devotional kind of character and development that has to be in place to really taste the holy name. If something's not right. Yeah, I remember when I was young, we was doing in the chemistry class, you know, we had to do this experiment with all these certain chemicals. And of course we wasn't the most well behaved. So what we did one time, we just took any old chemicals, you know, and just put them all in a test tube. Didn't follow the procedure, and the whole test tube exploded. So I tried to blame the chemicals, you know. then the teacher pointed it quite out, very, because you didn't follow what I told you to do. So therefore you got this result. I didn't follow the science, So it's the same, but Krishna's very merciful as well. Krishna won't give up on us. He keep on giving us instruction, giving us lessons, so we can actually so that this relish will awaken within the heart.
Prabhu, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, please.
Okay, this morning I was just reading the Bhagavad Gita in one of the chapter 2, and the examples came up that you have to take to Krishna consciousness, and so your mind will not be agitated. Otherwise, the 3 modes of material nature will agitate your mind. Now, Lord Krishna gave 2 examples here. One was that Haridas Thakur and the Pingala prostitute came, and 3 days the prostitute became converted to a devotee because he was so staunch in his devotional service.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand why Lord Krishna gave an example that even Lord Shiva got agitated by Parvati, because when the demigod sent the Cupid to agitate Lord Shiva's mind, he opened his 3rd eye and burned the Cupid too, and he's not got a body anymore. So he's such a great devotee who was in meditation. He's a good devotee of Lord Ram. Why Lord Krishna would give an example of Lord Shiva?
Yeah, well, first, Pingala is a name of a prostitute. That's not the name. There is no name given for the prostitute that tried to agitate Haridas Thakur.
Okay.
Pingala is the prostitute which makes her appearance in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, sorry, I got confused.
It's a wonderful story in of itself, the story of Pingala.
Mhm.
Yeah, in the 24 gurus. Yeah. But yeah, so that this example is often given of the exalted nature of a Vaishnava. And so sometimes Haridas Thakur is given as an example of someone who's even in a higher level of achievement, believe it or not, than the presiding deities like Lord Shiva. Yeah, or even I think another example is even more elevated than he is Brahma Haridas. He's Brahma Haridas, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. So that example is given to prove the exalted position of a unadulterated pure Vaishnava, that even he or she is above the status of great controllers, of great demigods. And specifically, it demonstrates the potency of the holy name as well. Yeah.
Yes.
And not only did Haridas Thakur convert that prostitute, but the story that's revealed later describes that even Maya Devi herself, the personification of all attraction, went to try and tempt Haridas Thakur. But she failed, and she became also his. I don't know how exactly, whether she became his disciple, I don't know. But she failed in her mission, and that wasn't just a worldly prostitute. That was the personification of the attractive principle in this material world in the form of a Maya Devi. And Haridas Thakur he was so absorbed in the holy name. So he's Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur.
Mm.
So that's just to show us, the wonderful, the wonderful, highly exalted status of Haridas Thakur. That you could point even Lord Shiva, because he happens to sometimes I don't know, it's difficult to describe exactly, but Lord Shiva conducts the mode of ignorance, isn't it?
Yes, actually, just another example I thought of was that when Lord Krishna took the avatar of Mohini Swarup, then Lord Shiva did run after her. So yeah,
That's another story. But we could say, perhaps we can have a philosophical speculation that if Mohini Murti appeared before Haridas Thakur, then then he wouldn't go running after her.
But even when Lord Brahma wasn't Haridas Thakur, he was Brahma. He got agitated by his daughter, so he was chasing her.
Yeah. So you could look at that from that point of view. But here he is now. As Brahma had enough of management, so he wanted to just chant the holy name.
Okay.
So in this, so he's showing it. That's why Lord Chaitanya gave him the title Namacharya, which is interesting because Lord Chaitanya came to give the holy name, but the Acharya who represents the principle of chanting into highest degree, he actually gave that title to Haridas.
Yes.
So such a it's a wonderful story. How we said, let me just finish my rounds,
Yeah. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
No problem. So yeah, anyway, very good, good observation, good question. You could ask that, Yeah. Anything else from that? Or?
I was thinking that could we say that Haridas Thakur was a pure devotee at really high level, prima level, whatever. So nothing's going to agitate him,
No. Because he's once you're attracted to Krishna, I mean it's relevant to everyone to one degree or another. I think it mentions here that once we're attracted to Krishna, if we're really attracted to Krishna, nothing else can attract us in the material world.
Like you can bring up Birva Mangala Thakur, when he came to that stage. He said that think of sex life, he kind of said he spits.
Yeah, well, no, that's someone else. Avadimama Krishna Tita Padav indeed. That's Yamanuja Acharya.
Yamanacharya.
Yeah.
But even Birva Mangal Thakur came to that stage. So he went through going through a prostitute.
Yeah. So we might not have to face such dramatic tests like that, but we will be tested. Yeah. Those things which we were attracted to and attached to, even in this life, and even those subtle things which are buried in our heart, they're going to dance they're gonna come up in the sky of our mind and heart and tempt us. So we are all will have, and we are all facing tests in our Krishna consciousness, But if we just, like we read the story of Alex yesterday, we just stick to the principles and the vows that we've taken up, then we take shelter of the holy name, then we can pass all the tests, And the more tests you pass, the more greater the prize gets, But I'm sure you all experienced that. There will be tests. There will be reasons will come up for you to not chant, or reasons for you, or you may feel like running after a particular material desire, But that's why it's important for us to be kind of well tuned up as far as hearing and chanting. That will help us to pass the tests. So here's Haridas Thakur. Good you brought it up. It's a very good thing. Haridas Thakur was speaking about the holy name. He definitely faced a test, but he passed it. So devotees often I can't quote exactly a reference for it, but I've spoken to devotees, they experience this. Every single desire that they had before they took to Krishna consciousness comes back and shows itself. It's almost as if Krishna is going, are you sure? What about this? What about when you thought like this? What about when you desired that? What about this when you desired that 25 years ago? Do you remember you was thinking like this? Do you still want it? So therefore no, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, and that's also when you get mercy, when you choose to surrender that, and but it means we have to be quite fixed up. Someone who's unsteady will generally take the bait, and there'll be some turbulence in their spiritual life as they again, play around with the objects of the senses. Sorry, someone
Hare Krishna,
speaking quite dramatically.
I was thinking, Prabhu, I joined late, but when you said about the testing, I was thinking, even our emotions, with our emotions also, Maya can test us. Krishna can test us through emotions and Maya together.
Oh, everything. Anything and everything Krishna's going to, or the material energy is going to throw at us.
Yeah.
Especially when we seem to be becoming serious about spiritual life as well.
Mm.
Then, but it said, Krishna, there's no test that you cannot pass if you take shelter of Krishna. And even if the devotee does succumb, then it's not the end of the world, and it's not the end of the story. It's just a bit of a pause,
Mm.
And eventually they come back. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening today how even our desires. Okay, you think what some desire or something, you think, okay, I've surpassed this. Yes, great, I've done something. But they dormant. They can come up anytime,
Yeah.
You have to be so careful with everything. There's nothing that you think, okay, I'm going forward, I'm okay.
Yeah, we should put it down to Krishna's grace, not something that we have achieved. It's by Krishna's grace and mercy. By Krishna's grace and mercy, I no longer desire to be a famous football star. Or whatever it may be. By Krishna's grace and mercy, then I no longer desire to have this or have that, or by Krishna's grace and mercy, I have not, fallen down or whatever. Krishna and the devotees and the spiritual master. It's nothing of our own. In one sense it is, but in one sense it's not. It's Krishna. Going on a bit in this, but yeah. Let's just look at the second paragraph again. When a man in the material world takes more interest, yes, on what we're saying, more interest in a materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a diseased condition. So that's where generally we start. We start when we're diseased and we take up Krishna consciousness. And gradually we become more interested in Krishna consciousness rather than materialistic news or materialistic life, But then sometimes it might happen that someone's been practicing Krishna consciousness and they again become more interested in the material world than they are in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So that means there's a lacking in hearing and chanting. Yeah, so we can go back the other way as well. We can go forward, but the chance of retreating, following. Yeah, one time my Guru Maharaj mentioned, he mentioned this phrase which caught my attention because, he caught my attention is, we are quite fascinated by the ongoings in this material world. The jiva is quite fascinated about the material world. I have to be truthful. I'm trying to, not much very truthful, but I have to unplug myself from this Ukraine thing, I've been following it too much. I just got to let it go for some time. I mean, it's quite horrific what's happening. And I'm kind of checking out, what's this, situation. But I was trying to chant japa this morning, and guess what was going through my mind?
No.
It's not silly, it's serious. But, it's going to go on without me. So I have to kind of watch, I'm finding it interesting.
Dev Maharaj gave a beautiful class on that.
Who?
Devamrita Maharaj.
Oh, recently, yeah.
Yeah. From Mayapur.
What was he saying?
He's just saying how,
He's back.
like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said to Prabhupada, these wars are going to come, management's going to come and go, but Krishna
Yeah, yeah.
consciousness is so important. So yes, we pray for them, we hear about it, we can do donations, we can do things like that.
Yeah,
And pray. When you see the stories, you pray. Yes, Krishna, you know.
yeah,
But we just have to be Krishna conscious kind of.
yeah. So
put
we
certain
have to
things
kind of manage our kind of, yeah, which shouldn't get to the point where we're watching it all day, every day. I mean, I'm not doing that, but it may, for instance, how the material energy has this power to distract us
Yeah.
from Krishna, they're like that. So yeah, we don't want to get re-diseased. Yeah. Yeah, and Prabhupada mentions it, could say, look, yeah, everyone's trying to be happy, but they're baffled in every way. Yeah. Anyway, let's read on, shall we? Let's try.
Even I think Suvana Niranjan Maharaj spoke about that, didn't he? Recently, he gave a class
Yeah, well,
on Ukraine thing because he's
Yeah, yeah, but what was he? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I watched.
he's there, so he has to. He's giving one tomorrow morning at 4:30. And Deva Mitra Maharaj, they're both talking again tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and they're directly speaking to the devotees in Ukraine, or
Yes,
the Ukrainian
yeah.
devotees.
Yeah.
I think your Guru Maharaj did as well. I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, yeah, and he spoke about parigram,
On Friday. Oh, that was so beautiful. Last Friday. The
I have to
parikrama
listen
he
to
did
that.
was really nice.
I want to listen to that. So he didn't speak much about the war,
No.
did he? Or did
No,
you?
he did speak about his life when there was war in
Oh,
Europe,
yeah,
Hungary,
yeah.
and things like that. So, he did speak about all that, make sort of in a way sympathetic, so he understands what these children, what these people are going through, because he
Yeah.
himself went through,
Yeah.
from with his mother and,
As a
Yeah, so-
6-year-old boy.
yeah.
So actually, if we pick up Srimad Bhagavatam, there's fascinating stories in there. Fascinating, really, and the stories which are encountered in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is really fascinating. We should be really excited about. As we turn each page of Bhagavatam, it's nice to have a sense of excitement and wonder that these sages and the conversations they're having and the appearance of Vishnu. It's very dramatic. Like I'm reading at the moment where Agnidra, he becomes enchanted by a heavenly damsel, and there's stories. Anyway, the Bhagavatam is full of more excitement than the BBC News. Yeah. Anyway, difficult to avoid what's going on at the moment, but we have to be careful that we're not losing precious time hearing and chanting. All right, let's see what else. Let's read a bit more, shall we? So, Chandravali Mav, you'd like to read? You have your hand up there. Does
Yeah.
anyone else any
If
questions or
anybody
comments?
else wants to read, I'm okay not reading. Does anybody? It's because nobody put their
No
hand
one's got
up.
a hand up, so quick,
Can
jump
I-
in.
Sorry.
Mother, after you, can I read?
You can read
Yes.
first. I'm okay. I only put it down because nobody had. You can read now. No problem with me.
Okay. So when a man?
This
Now,
is
this
the conscious movement.
Okay, sorry. This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread. People in general are misled by blind leaders, the leaders of human society, the politicians, philosophers, and scientists are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. According to the Bhagavad Gita 7.15, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to their atheistic way of life, they are actually sinful rascals and are the lowest among men. Namam duskritino mudaha prapadyante naradama mayaya pratajana asuram bhavam asrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are the lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Can I continue?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Such people never surrender to Krishna, and they oppose the endeavors of those who wish to take Krishna as shelter. Hmm. When such atheists become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with
Nescience, that word.
in such a condition, lessons, yeah, in such a conditions, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna consciousness moment, just as a diseased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy. However, one must know that the jaundice sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world right. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. One begins his treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in the material condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Cheto Darpanam Arjanam. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides a foundation for ahankar or false ego within the heart.
Okay, perhaps we'll just pause there.
Yes, Prabhu.
Your connection's a little bit strained. It's interesting. Sometimes you're speaking very fast, when you speak, then it stops. So anyway, we managed to hear what you read, kind of just about. But yeah, any comments about this? The remedy for setting the world right.
That's what's happening now because there are no leaders following Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, Prabhupada says when such atheists become leaders of society. Yeah. And we're kind of, I can say it's kind of gradual, slowly but surely, the world is degrading, of course, and the qualification of leaders is degrading, where it's so constant and so sure that it's easy to miss it. You understand? It's just like we are aging all the time, but it's not like we abruptly are faced with it every day. Sometimes, you know, when we look really rough, when we look in the mirror, we kind of conclude, oh my God. But you understand, so in the same way, you know, society has degraded to such a level now, but it wasn't sudden. It was sure, but it wasn't a sudden thing. It was gradually, as different. We can see the types of leaders that get elected. You know, some of them have got some grain of piety in them, but some have none. Some are just out and out. You could say, I don't know how to say it politely, but you could say demons, you know, literally, you know. And the consequences of that is because of the leaders. I'm not Krishna conscious. Yeah. So, you know, the fact that people are dying, people don't put the dots together. The fact that there's diseases and people are dying of disease like cancer, and there's wars, and there's, you could go the COVID thing, and there's depression, and there's suicides. It's because of the godless leaders. Yeah. But the people don't put the dots together. If the leader was someone like Lord Ram or Prabhupada or a devotee, the world would be in a different state. So it might be too much to expect. Well, we don't know. I don't think in our lifetime, but perhaps in generations to come, there will be Krishna conscious countries, you know, Krishna conscious states, Krishna conscious countries. And it's not difficult to imagine. You see Krishna consciousness in India, for example, how it's spreading. And who's to know, after this series of wars and what's going on, people might start to take those books that those Harrys gave them a bit seriously. You know, they might start picking them up. Anyway, and so, yeah, when such atheists become leaders, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with nescience. Yeah. The fact that governments do not base their laws on religious principles itself, you know, the fact that there's even a discussion whether abortion should be legal or not is a sad state of affairs. Can you imagine that being brought up in the court of Yudhisthira Maharaj? The fact that it's even discussed is like deplorable. And the fact that it has to be discussed whether you can kill children in the womb, and that's a sign, that's a bad sign in itself. That shouldn't be even up for discussion. You know, just like it's not up for, you know, should you kill your parents? You know, well, fortunately, that's not up for discussion yet. Anyway, there's some pretty, and perhaps I won't repeat it, but there's some pretty degraded things, and perhaps I will give you insight into some horrors of Kali. Now, you know, this, and perhaps we won't comment more on it, but pedophilia, you know what that word means, pedophilia, it's now in a lot of places, in some places, it's being brought up for discussion of possible acceptance. Considering.
No, really?
Yep. I read an article the other day, just considering the wide practice of it.
Oh my God.
It's being discussed as a, you know, just like 200 years ago, there wouldn't be any discussion of gay marriage. But now it is. But now it's come to that, where that's being discussed in some circles as being accepted. And it's, yeah, so this is the...
Yes, I heard, otherwise it's discrimination for them, apparently. It's horrible.
Say that again?
If we ignore them, we're discriminating their rights to have a, whatever, a sexual orientation, apparently.
Yeah, that's it. That's what, this is what they represent.
Krishna Chaitanya.
No?
So basically, we our discriminate even in school. That's why one devotee was saying, in UK, they don't want to send their children to. It's better to do homeschooling. Otherwise, the children's discrimination power is taken off, because if child sees something, child sees something not right, you can't say anything. They can't discriminate.
Yeah. Just like, I mean, I'm not exactly, I'm not a what's it called? Someone who's against gay people. What's the name called?
Homophobe.
Yeah, homo. I mean, I'm not in any way that, but I don't agree with children's textbooks showing stories of men and men.
Yeah.
That's why we choose Catholic schools to take the kids to. Otherwise, they have all that education.
Yeah. Education. So I know, imagine you have children, so yeah, so it's a challenge. So yeah, so and why? Because of the leaders. Ultimately, you trace it back to the leaders. You know.
I have a very short question. I think, please, if I'm wrong, scold me. I'm very, very happy. The question arises, I was thinking all day, you know, it affected me. Because in ISKCON, we like all ladies and men Prabhus, yeah? And for example, I'm a man trapped in woman's body. All my life since birth, I was trying to prove that I'm a woman. You understand how hard it is? And when somebody sees me and says, Prabhu, I want to slap his face because I'm a mother and a grandma. I know that I'm not the miss of the universe. But to call me Prabhus, I felt more than an offense. I'm being serious, because in India, wives calling by husbands Prabhu. I've never seen that husband calls his wife, or maybe in joking, yeah. And recently, what I want to say, I was talking to one disciple of Srila Prabhupada, senior devotee. He's a nice guy, everybody knows him, but I don't want to point him. And he's saying, Prabhu, I said, Prabhu, please, can you call me Mataji or whatever, servant or whatever you can, whatever name, but don't call me Prabhu, because I find it offensive.
Very nice. Well done for speaking up.
No, but no, he said, you know what he said? No. We used to call ladies Prabhus, and I'll call you Prabhu. And I said, Prabhu, but do you understand that this is offensive? This is, you know, it's not. No, I'll call you Prabhu because I want it. I'll call you Prabhu. And I couldn't. Prabhu, please tell me what my position should be, where I stand, how should I stand?
Anyway, thank you. This is a bit of a lighter subject than what we
No, because I feel I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I don't know how to work with myself.
See what we are dealing with. We're dealing with a crossover of cultures. You know, we're not.
I know what you meant. I'm sorry, but just
so we're not completely settled in one particular culture. We've got one foot in Western culture. We're trying to put another foot in Vedic culture. So, and there's some devotees who will they've got their foot in Western culture, and they've got their foot in the Eastern culture. Some have got both feet in Eastern culture. Some have got both feet in Western culture, and there's clashing. So here you got terms like Prabhu, which is generally, as we understand, it's to call a Mao, but somehow influenced by the Western type of ethic. And apparently it was done in Prabhupada's time, but very it wasn't widely done.
It was, Prabhu, it was. I had never ever heard anybody call Mataji, because I'm been there right from the beginning. And Prabhu, I'm talking to Jambavati now because she put something on our group chat.
Group as well.
Call somebody Prabhu, you should not look at it as a male or a female. Prabhu is Krishna. You're calling out to him. And fortunately, or however you look at it, Krishna is the only male. This is my answer to you, Jambavati. It is, you should not take it as an insult. By that same token, there are young ladies, devotees, they shout back and say, I'm so young, don't call me Mataji. I've heard that as well.
Yes, I do understand. But you know, there is another question. It's not my cult. I don't want to be Lord. I don't want to be a master. I want to be a servant.
No, but the very fact you say Prabhu, it means you're addressing Krishna. That's the whole point, that we see Krishna in everybody's heart.
Anyway, whatever term you wish to use, also Mother is a very elevated, elevated address as well. Mataji as well is not ordinary.
I want to be Mataji. Sorry, I could never hear that somebody calls Draupadi or wife of Krishna's Prabhus. I never had any. I've never seen. Maybe
I think you have your, especially the persons who you're interacting with on who you are interacting with. I think you have your right. You can choose to be how you wish to be addressed. I know there's one, I forget her name, but I just heard recently someone, the head of ISKCON Resolve, Vrajabihari Prabhu. We had a meeting, an online meeting, and he was discussing about speaking to one Mataji in Germany. So he said, whatever you do, you don't call it, I forget, but you have to, you can't call her this, you can't call her that. She wants, so she's very specific, this senior disciple, of how she wishes to be addressed and not addressed. So I think you have your right, Mother Jambavati, but don't get too uptight if someone calls you Prabhu, don't take it
I'll pass out. If somebody calls me, I'll pass out.
You better let them know that if they call you that, you're going to hit them with a cricket bat.
Prabhu, when I look at Mataji Chandravali, Savarna, they're like murtis from the altar came off, you know, they're miniature, they're beautiful, they're like sweets, you know, you look at them and you can't take your eyes. And when I come like an elephant, you know, I got heart attack when somebody calls me Prabhu. It's like putting my phone.
Yeah, Jambavati Prabhu.
Anyway, I wouldn't take it. Yeah, okay. Don't get to, someone calls you that.
Prabhu, Prabhu, I wanted to say
Someone's calling me Prabhu.
Prabhu, my neighbor, she said to me, I am going to call you Prabhu, okay? I said, whatever you say. And she said, Srila Prabhupada, it is very important everybody should be called Prabhu, because Prabhupada means we are all Prabhus going to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. If we don't call you Prabhu, that means you missed that opportunity. This was the explanation.
My Guru Maharaj gives, he's against calling ladies Prabhus, and he gives a history. He's been asked it on his podcast, so, I just follow.
Who is that, Prabhu? Who's that?
Shivaram Swami.
Ratanath Swami.
Shivaram Swami.
Shivaram Swami, okay.
He doesn't call ladies Prabhu, right?
No, he doesn't call
them. It's just not right. I don't like it anymore.
It was a mother.
But this is what my neighbor told me, Prabhu. So I said, okay, as you whatever. I don't want to get into anything. You call me, but I have a name. Don't call me Prabhu. You call me Nitai Mata. Simple as that.
That's you know what is it? I was a bit concerned because this is like offense. If you're fat, I'll call you fat. It doesn't matter about your feelings. I'll call you fat. Because I want you to understand. I call you the way I want. It means this is spiritual movement. We should care about each other's feelings, not to hurt each other, and if I don't like it, please respect my feelings, not what you want. And I was a bit, how to say, I don't know how to say, but I was confused because he's a devotee, and he said, no, I like it, and I'll call you Prabhus. I said, Prabhu, please don't call me. I don't like. No, I'll call you Prabhus. And I was thinking, whatever. Sorry for how long we chant japa, how long we practice, and just to call others the way we want, ignore feelings. I don't talk about respect.
You have a point there, but so what can you do? Some devotees, some devotees will.
Well, I do remember Prabhupada did say that you call each other Prabhus, actually.
Yeah, Prabhupada, that's what they say.
I do remember that.
Prabhupada, because we won't go to Prabhupada's lotus feet if you don't call. That's what this Mata gave. You want to miss that?
Yeah, I think it's just Prabhupada's just reminding that it's good for us to be known as everyone else is our master.
Yeah, that's the understanding. So when you talk to somebody, when you call them Prabhu, it means you're respecting them. Then you talk in that respectful mood. Thinking of them as senior, respecting them. So that's the word why.
What is respect if I'll call you Prabhu, disrespecting your feelings?
Okay, we will just call you Jambavati, okay?
I'll faint out. I'll faint out if you call me Prabhu. Thank you.
And make sure that I won't send text messages. I'll just send Jambavati.
Anyway, well done. I think you lightened the subject up a bit from the last topic, from the last point we're discussing.
That was heavy.
I mean, consider what's going on in the world. This is a really small thing we have to really worry about. Considering what's going on in the world, as I mentioned, it's maybe a relatively small thing. There's a lot worse going on. All right, should we? Let's read. Let's see what else comes up. Who's reading next, or who read last, or who Chandravali was reading, and then which paragraph are we on now?
The real disease, is that the one? The
Okay,
real
perhaps
disease is
I'll
in
have, okay, I will have a go. The real
Go
disease
ahead.
is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and heart from all misconceptions, one should take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. There are 3 stages in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord: the offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if the devotee avoids these, he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between offensive chanting and pure chanting. When one attains the pure stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Bhava Maha Davagni Nivapanam. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can relish and taste of transcendental life. The conclusion is that in order to get free from the material disease, one must take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtan parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world, where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Such imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves in initiation. Yeah. So perhaps we'll just pause there. These 3 stages called Namaparad, Namabas, and Sudhanam. Interesting, Prabhupada said it straight after the sentence, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. But then he kind of explains more about that, because it doesn't happen immediately. Immediately is that's the symptom of Sudhanam. That's the symptom of Sudhanam. So then Prabhupada describes the different stages that one will go through. Any comments on that? Because in one sense, the holy name, if you immediately chant it, but it depends on your state of heart of how you're chanting. I don't know if I'm swimming in deep waters here. But anyway,
Yeah.
any comments on that or questions?
I have a quick comment. When I joined Krishna Consciousness in Soviet Union, and it was one devotee. He was senior than I. He was first generation devotee, and his mom, she hated devotees. She hated Krishna Consciousness. She hated temple, everything. And all the time she was chanting, "I hate Krishna. I hate Krishna, such and such, and Krishna, and Krishna, and Krishna." And he left for the United States when we gained independence. He left for United States. And what we saw in 20 years, his mom became devotee. She came to the temple and she became devotee. She died soon after that, but it was very nice to see that from big hatred, she hated. She was cursing and talking about devotees very badly, but she said, "My son left for America and I can't live without Krishna. I have to come to the temple every day." He was coming. So you see,
Wonderful. There's a wonderful. There is many stories like that.
Yeah, taste of Krishna. This is beautiful.
I was just I was listening to Niranjana Swami speaking on this podcast called Wisdom of the Sages, and he's speaking about Ukraine. But then the conversation goes into the good days in Ukraine when they're before the war, and there's the festivals, and he's describing they had these, you know, they have these large festivals in Ukraine with like thousands of devotees attending.
Yes.
And they're all dressed in dhotis and saris, and they say even the people in the village, because there's thousands, hundreds of devotees, because they hire out the whole big encampment as a village, you know.
Yes.
So a lot of the locals just started wearing saris and dhotis.
Yes, yes,
They
yes.
devotees, and also, you know, taking beads just by seeing so many Vaishnavas in saris and dhotis, and they become influenced, you know. So Prabhupada says that imitation is actually good. Yeah, and as you said, he gave that wonderful story. That's why Prabhupada would often, when he would read newspaper, sometimes there'd be a newspaper article which would be criticizing devotees. And one time Prabhupada would say, would note how many times they chanted Krishna. And they say, well, this is a wonderful news report. Because they were saying Krishna so many times, the Krishna devotees this, the Krishna devotees that, the Krishna devotees this, the Hare Krishna, the Krishnas. You know? I mean, that's why we do Harinam, you know?
Yes.
We go to, you know, put it into people's conscious and subconsciousness, you know, let the Holy Name bounce off the walls and the buildings and let people hear it. And that actually is the, for this crazy world we're in, that's, I mean, the only hope. And we should be really convinced of this, that the only hope for this world is the Sankirtan movement. Prabhupada's not just speaking, you know, he's not speaking just to get us, you know, on it and live, and it is a fact. It's a fact. And until that stage, it's going to be chaos. Yeah. And what's the time? We've got 2 minutes left. Let's see how far we've got to go in this purple. Still quite a ways. That's not.
I have short announcement.
Yeah, please.
I need Prabhu you to do me a favor, please, to give advice or suggestion.
Yeah, please.
26th of March, I'm organizing, we're planning to have a Lady Sangha Boost Party. Probably you saw the advertisement.
Boost party, bus party.
Yeah, for ladies. For ladies. Yeah, Boost Party, Sankirtana Boost Party, because what is it? You know, senior ladies, they don't have much opportunity to express themselves, to go to talk about their memories, to share about Sankirtan experience.
What?
So other things, you know, they don't have much space, yeah, because youngsters taking everything. So in that case, I'm inviting senior Matajis to share. Nalini Mataji, we invited her in December. She she said, I'm coming only for 10 minutes. And she stayed for an hour and she didn't want to leave after that.
So
and when it's ended.
Yeah, just one thing, Mojam. You said a bus party?
Boost.
It's BOOST, boost.
Yeah, like boosting.
Oh, boost. Oh, with you now. Okay, with you. Sorry.
To boost Sankirtana spirit.
Okay. So, yeah, somehow I thought you said bus, and I had this envision of all the ladies going on a bus. No, boost.
Yeah, so just to share, because senior Matajis have so much experience, they have so much to share, and we're organizing, I want to invite, and also crafts, anybody, because some ladies, they're making toys, some honey, some soap, some other things, so they can come and sell, and we can buy from each other and to give gift to each other. Yeah, for example, I buy soap and I give gift as to Chandravali, or I buy from Suvarna oil or butter, whatever, and I give to
soap devotee here. This is soap made by devotee in Scotland.
Who is selling? We have to invite them, because this is, you know, like Vedic principle. We support each other's crafts, but we're also giving gifts. Pardon?
He's a Prabhu.
We need a lady. We support ladies, not Prabhus. We
need to find out about this soap and have it in Radha's boutique. We need soap for Radha's boutique. Can we get a contact of the Prabhu?
I can. Yeah, I can give you his contact. Yeah, I'll give you his contact. I can share that.
So Prabhu, what your advice would be? What else we can do in this party? I want to invite all ladies. Please come and share your experience with youngsters.
I mean, that sounds like you've got the agenda there. Just because you've got this nice place to associate, speak about your experiences in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, and in the evening we're going to go to Sankirtan and Senior Mata, just like Nalini will take younger ladies to teach or to observe them how to distribute books.
Yeah. What I suggest